Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. My name is Reverend Sharri Johnson, and I'd like to welcome you to Global Focus Today, where we discover the path that ministry is taking in today's ever changing world. I think you will thoroughly enjoy our guest today, Reverend Dr. Pamela, we call her Pjae Stanley. She is the senior minister of Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth, Texas, and is an ordained New Thought Interfaith Ministerial graduate of Emerson Institute of Theology. She has an undergraduate degree in organizational management, a master's in religious studies, and a doctor of divinity in transformational ideology focused on the transformational power of unconditional love. Golly, that sounds scrumptious. Reverend Pjae is a sought-after speaker and workshop presenter on the topics of clarity, conviction, and courage. What's next, uncovering what's yours to do, and developing core communication skills for couples. All are designed to help participants gain personal clarity and uncover core values and set an aligned life purpose. Reverend Pjae's life purpose is to facilitate fellow travelers through a process of discovery, belief building, and understanding the power of action to fulfill their personal life purpose. She is fervent about her relationship with God, family, friends, and her spiritual tribe, of whom I am blessed to be a member. Reverend Pjae, thank you so much for joining us today. It is such an honor to have you here.
It is a pleasure and honor to be here, Sharri. Thanks so much for snagging me up at the conference. We were at the conference having a great time, and she snagged me up with her pad and her pencil. She's ready to go. I was like, I got some spots. When can you do it? So thank you so much for having me here.
I am honored indeed. I still wake up in the night. It's been a week and a half since the conference, and I still wake up going, pick your Tuesday. Pick your Tuesday.
Pick a Tuesday. Anybody? Tuesday.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to ask you questions and let you talk for as long as you want to talk.
Sounds good.
And if you run out of things to say, I'll ask you more questions.
Sounds like a plan.
And don't worry if there's something you want to talk about and I don't mention it, because I'm going to ask you that question too.
Okay.
So here's the first one. What drew you to ministry?
Tell me again. Ask me again.
What
drew me to ministry? Okay. So it's interesting because I wasn't actually drawn to ministry to be a minister. What I was drawn to, I think, like most people who, and I want to speak, I think it's most people who either through actually making a choice to say to know about New Thought, they already knew about New Thought, or you just happen to stumble in to a New Thought church, which is really what I did. But it's interesting because I stumbled in, but I was actually also asking Spirit to show me something more, because I'm from a fundamental background. I'm a Southern Baptist from Texas, and my whole family is that way. My grandfather was a deacon in the church. My father was a deacon in the church. My brother, my mother, everybody worked at the church. And so I started singing at our church. Oh, I think I was 7 years old, 7 to 9, something like that, in my grandfather's church, and I loved it. I loved the community. I loved how people loved God, and I loved all of that, but I didn't believe them. I didn't believe the speaker. It didn't make any sense to me. And so it never occurred to me to step out of that religion. I just kept trying to find a more progressive religion that would know God the way that I did. And so I was in San Diego in about 1995, and my husband saw this advertisement that said CSL, Center for Spiritual Living. And we both thought, oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? So we stepped into that church, and the first day that I stepped in, the very first talk that I heard from Reverend Dr. Marilyn, her name was Marilyn Day Hall at the time. Now her name is Marilyn Hall, Dr. Marilyn Hall. And her words spoke to me. I never knew there was such a thing. And so I was there every Sunday, every time she opened her doors for a class, every book she recommended, every speaker that came to speak, every conference she told me to go to. And so the path for more learning was to end up going to ministerial school, because that's just where more learning was. And so I just did that and became a minister simply because I wanted to have the knowledge, because I was just trying to unfold my life and co-create my life. I finally at that point understood it was a co-creation of life. And so I wanted to do that. And then I had some friends in 2018 who I had gone to their church. We were friends forever. They were minister couple, and they wanted to retire. And they said, "Listen, girl, you've been in this for a long time. You're a minister now. You need to step up and let us retire." So so the challenge was thrown down, but I don't do anything without conversing with Spirit about that. And I asked Spirit, is this for me? Is Am I a minister? And Spirit was very clear with the response. Said, yes, you are a minister. You've been a minister a long time. Whether or not you're supposed to go to this church or not will be between you and the church to decide whether it'll work for the two of you. But you're always going to be a minister no matter what you do, wherever you minister from. You are already a minister. Oh, okay, I could believe that. So I became the minister for Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth from then on, and my covenant with Spirit was if I took this on, because it's the first church I'd ever taken on, never thought about taking one on. I said, I'm going to need some help, and I need you to send me some help. And right away, two other women in the Dallas Fort Worth area became New Thought ministers, new at the pretty much the same time I did. And we have been friends since I became a minister, and they were ministers. We've been friends for the last 4 years, and they're my tribe. I mean, they help me with everything I need to do and know. I'm just going to turn this fan on. I'm just You can see the little starting to get hot here. And so that's how I got going. That's how I got involved in it. But it wasn't a calling to profession. It was a calling for my life, and the profession just ended up being what I needed to do to move forward. So it's a long way around that question you asked, but that's really how it happened.
So what I'm hearing you say is you didn't become a minister. You woke up to the fact that you were one.
I Thank you. That is exactly what happened. I woke up to the fact. Spirit woke me up to the fact that I've already been doing it, and actually been doing it my whole life, but just didn't realize it, didn't call it, didn't label it as anything. Just that's what I was doing. So it was a natural fit.
Well, then I'm going to ask you because the whole story fascinates me, and that is once you got into New Thought and accepted the idea of leading a congregation. Ask this. I am sometimes tact challenged, um, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm curious to know how you do church differently from the church you ran away from when you were little.
Okay, so well, it's the whole idea is the new thought arena is very different. So one
Hmm.
of the biggest things, and I talked about this at the retreat a couple of weeks ago, was that what I noticed about my fundamental church was that on Sunday everybody was talking about how great God was and all of that, but then they also talked about how throughout the week, the rest of the 6 days of the week, how miserable their life was, how difficult life was, how hard it was. Um, and I couldn't understand that because I just thought, well, how is it so great on Sunday, but you can't seem to take that with you during the week? And what is different about that? So what is different about New Thought, and I don't think it's particularly my ministry, but just New Thought ministry, is that it's such a it's a 7 day a week spirituality. It is a lie. It's a living thing, and it goes with me everywhere I am, every moment of the day. And the challenge is always to uh, consciously remember who I am, consciously remember who we all are. And as I go through the day, connecting consciously with other godlings, if you will, other
I love.
individualized expressions of God. And so that's what's different. And as far as my ministry is concerned, I think and I don't know that it's different because I never really talked to people, but I can tell you what my mission is to be authentic about what I talk about, and to be walking the same walk that I'm asking the people who are listening, the audience, the members of the church to walk. So I'm not saying that these are the universal principles, or these are the principles for New Thought, or the principles for Science of Mind, or these are things Ernest Holmes did. I go out every day and say, how does this work? How does God show up as me? Just this past week, I did a talk, and I was reading uh, uh, Mother Teresa's prayer every single day, and I that she prayed every day, and I loved it. So I'm taking it on as one of my own, and that is, God shine through me, so that whoever I speak to can see you in me. And that's the hope for me, is to always be speaking as God, through God, from that God is speaking through me, and so that's I don't know if it's different, but it's the focus of my ministry.
So, again, what I'm hearing is that you are not a the minister of Harmony Spiritual Center. You are a minister who happens to lead Harmony Spiritual Center,
That is
but
how
you're a
that is exactly how
minister 24/7, 365.
that is exactly how I feel about it. I really feel like I am a minister, and then if you come there, because I what I know is, here's another thing that I say all the time: you can't answer a question that isn't being asked. So that means that if you are searching for something and my words resonate with you, then I can be someone that can help you. But if my words don't resonate, then I'm not for you. And that's
Right.
okay too. Just keep going, just like I did, until I found and heard words that resonated with my truth, which is what Reverend Dr. Marilyn Day Hall did. When she spoke, her words resonated as truth with me. And that's all I'm trying to do, is to call forth to me, with the law of attraction, those like minds who the words that I'm speaking, the way that I'm trying to live, the values that I hold resonate with you. And so then we are a tribe. So we're a tribe. And perhaps I can help you on the way.
So, if you were asked to, and you are right now by me, asked to describe who it is that your ministry serves and how you reach them, what would your answer be?
I think I'm reaching people who are searching. They're searching for a better life. They know already, somehow within themselves, they know there's something better. They know there's something greater. They know they're here to do something more, but they're not really clear. Either they're not really clear what that is. They haven't actually owned the gift, because all of us have not just one, but many gifts. They haven't actually owned the gift. There may be some negative, and lots of us have been raised with these negative thoughts that were put into our heads by someone we cared for, someone who loved us, someone who was trying to protect us, and so we don't own it. Certainly, the the fundamental group that I was raised with made this whole thing where if you claimed your gift or even said that you were good at something, then it was that whole pride that goes before the fall. So you're being too proud. Who do you think you are to say that you can do these things? I am a child of God. That's who I am. I was created to be creative. And so to not honor that, to not move forward and own the gift that God has given me um is not being who I actually am. It's not showing up. It's who I am. So what I want to do is to be a positive uh, affirmation for people, to affirm what I see in them. When I see them doing their God thing, when I see them doing sharing their gifts, I share that with them. This is what I see in you. This is how I see you. I believe you can do these things. I know that you can, and I'm here to help you. What do you need? How can I help you? And so who are the people? That was the original question. Who do I serve? Those who are seeking something greater, those who are open for something greater, and those who are ready for something greater. Because it takes a lot of courage to step into yourself, to step into yourself, to look at what it is that's holding you back. And really, it's within you. Whatever it is, it's your self talk. It's whatever those things are that are holding you back. And the hardest journey we ever make and continue to make is to revisit who we are and whether we are living up to the claims that we say that we are, and who we say we want to be, and the values we hold. And constantly looking at that and reevaluating that and say, what's next for me? What what does God's spirit or even my own soul have for me? And am I ready to step into it?
All righty. So you just led me right into my next question. And there are two questions that I ask all my interviews, just because I'm curious, just because I want to know, and this is one of them. How does your ministry support and contribute to conscious evolution?
So I don't I believe that evolution has to happen one person at a time. So there's no point in talking about how the world is going to change, how we're going to have peace on the planet, how we're going to be generous and living abundantly if individually we are not. So one person at a time, every person that I meet, I'm trying to, and who says that this is where they want to go, talk about how their lives can be better. It's about, because once you've raised your consciousness, then your consciousness is raised. And everywhere you go, that energy of raised consciousness you take with you, and you're automatically raising the level wherever you go. And so it's one person at a time that you're helping, that person then goes out and helps more and more. So so that's what my vision is for raising the level. I'm not trying to do thousands and thousands of people. I'm trying to deal with every person that I meet. How can I help you? And even if we don't get into conversation, even if you're not coming to my church, or we don't have a group together. I have groups that I meet up with to just have these conversations, classes that I teach at the community college where we have these conversations, anywhere where I can have these conversations. But even if I don't get to have a conversation with you, if I meet you and I can just smile at you and show you by looking at you and smiling at you that I see you, that you're okay with me, and that you are worthwhile and you belong here. That to me is what a smile at someone else says. So just that to me raises that person's level just even for the day. Just lifts their energy even for the day. So everything that you do matters. Everything that we do matters. And every contact that we have matters. Whether it's a program that we do or whether it's individually, the things you say and do to everyone you meet. It matters. So that's what I
All right, one more. Here's
do.
here's
Okay.
the next one. Now that we've got conscious evolution out of the way, I want you to answer the same question with respect to world peace. I
The same.
think you
It's the
already
same.
have, but I
It
want you
is.
to
It's
do it.
the same. It's the same answer. I don't know if you or your audience is aware of Thought Leader Thursday, but I have Thought Leader Thursday, the final Thursday of the month, where we have speakers and we talk about different things. And I had a speaker on a few months ago. Her name was Reverend Kim Andrews, and she has a platform, a peace platform, and that is what she's trying to do. And I can't remember the numbers, so I'm just gonna throw out a number that's not the exact number, but she has a number that she calls it like Peace 945 or Peace 1045 or some number like that. But her whole point is that it only takes a small. You talk about the millions of people on the planet. It takes about 10,000 people to shift their thinking to peace to change the entire planet. So again, she is working one person at a time for them to have peace in their own lives. And one of the highest compliments that someone can pay me is to say, "Oh, you seem very peaceful." I love that. They don't really know what a huge compliment that is to say that I'm peaceful, because wherever you go, whatever you do, you're taking that energy with you, whether it's the energy of joy, of peace, or even of anger or upset. Whatever you have going on, that is going with you, and that is intermingling with the other energy that's in the room, that's in the space, that's with the people that you're with. So, peace is going to happen one person at a time, and it begins with you being peaceful in your own life, and sharing that peace as you go through your life.
So my goal has been for 30 years now, more than 40 years now, since I first discovered it, the finding the human hundredth monkey for world
Yeah,
peace.
correct. Correct.
That's what you just described.
That's exactly what that
Find
is.
the human hundredth monkey. The
And
only way to find the human hundredth monkey is to keep piling up monkeys.
exactly. And that's exactly what my friend is saying. Just all of us, we just keep just one person, one person, one person. And when she talks about it, and I love this, it really resonated with me. She said her whole life she thought being quiet was peaceful. But an absence of noise or being quiet is not necessarily peaceful. She could be silent. She could be silent and still be raging on the inside. And so when she figured that out, when she found out that she was very quiet and low key, but still raging on the inside, so what is this about? That's when she started walking this peace walk and realized she needed to do that because she didn't actually have peace in her home. She thought she did because it was very quiet there, but it wasn't. Yeah. And so you have to know that for yourself.
You do,
You do.
and that's something you can lead people to discover. I have never referred to myself as a teacher. I always call myself an educator because it comes from the Latin educare, which means to lead out.
Okay, right.
everything we need to know is already in there. Somebody just has to lead it out of us.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
where the world peace is going to come from, is
Right.
somebody's going to lead that hundredth monkey out. And it's not going to happen a little at a time.
It's,
When the hundredth monkey flips over to peace, the entire
then
world
it's done. It's done. Correct.
is done.
Correct.
So that's wonderful. So my next question is, just for personal, in case somebody needs to know this, do you live stream your Sunday services?
I do. We do. We obviously started like everybody else when COVID went down. And so we continue to do it because it seems to be a service. There's a whole lot of chit chat about whether you should or you should not, and there's a thing that says, if you don't have at least 300 um, members or 300 people coming, you don't have enough money to actually do a live streaming well. And so our production is probably not very good, and we certainly
I'm
take.
not going to affirm that.
Huh? Yeah,
I
I know.
think you're doing anything that wasn't very good.
Okay. so, but we have discovered that people who can't get there on Sundays, who for whatever reason either out of town, they're on vacation, all a number of reasons, or can't even watch it on that day, that they can't, and they go back and watch it. So we have a lot of people that have come and said they really appreciate the fact that we live stream it. So we'll continue to do that as long as it seems to be a service. We'll continue to do that.
Well, then what I'm going to ask you to do is to please send me personally the information of the time and the link, because I run an online spiritual practice directory. There's
Okay.
no cost on it, but I will put it on there, and then people will be able to just click on it and be at your service.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. Okay, I'm writing a note to myself right now.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's see what's left.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite question. Suppose, I'm asking you to suppose something I know you already know is true. You could make a demand on the universe in the full knowledge that no matter what your demand was, it would be granted. Or for the human race, doesn't matter which. What would you wish for? What would you ask? What would you demand?
I would actually, the demand is that, and here's the thing, here's what I know about demands in the universe. Everybody has free will. So it's difficult to make a demand for someone else unless they want it, right? But the demand would be twofold. One, that everyone would desire to know God in for themselves. That's the demand that I would ask. That everyone would have the desire to know God for themselves, whatever they would call that. Because I believe it's key that people get that they have power within them. And knowing God or spirits or whatever you want to call that, which is greater than yourself, is key and critical to you owning your greater self and living up to your full potential for the gifts that you do, that you have, for the service that you can provide. I really believe that we are here on this planet to serve one another. And I think our gifts are simply the vehicle through which we serve. But our purpose, I think we all have the same purpose, and that is to serve one another. We get confused about thinking that the gift itself is the purpose, but it's not. It's the tool to use, the vehicle to serve. And so that you can have fun. But you can have fun while you're serving. I think when you realize what your gift and gifts are, um, then you have a great deal of fun going forward using those gifts. But if you could use those gifts and they serve and help somebody else find their gift, that's where true happiness on the planet, peace on the planet. I mean, what's to be upset about if you are living the life of your dreams? And I believe knowing God takes you to a place where you can believe that you are here to live the life of your dreams and your imaginings. So that would be my demand on the universe, to put that desire in everyone and courage to know, to own your gifts and to live the life of your, to know God. So that's what I would do. That's what I would do.
Well, that's a wish I'm happy to see fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions, little
Sure.
short ones.
Ready, sure.
what would you say? And I'm going to do it backwards. What would you say is the greatest gift you have received from saying yes to Harmony Spiritual Center?
Yeah, that's a good one. I I I think it's just I think the biggest gift is realizing that there's no end to to the learning and to the understanding and to the continuation of more gifts to come. When I started, I thought, well, I have a gift of, I can sing and I can speak and but more and more gifts come up, and I get, because of the people that I'm trying to help, other gifts show up, and so the gift of discernment, the gift of clarity. I'm really good at helping people be clear about who they actually are and what they're actually wanting and what they're really praying for. There's a prayer, but then what's underneath? What's the prayer underneath the prayer? What's the real reason that you're praying for this? What do you really want? Who do you really want to be? And I have really good clarity about that. So I so the unexpected gift for me is the continued growth and how much I am growing, the people around me are growing, and there's no end to the evolving life that we get to have. You think it's going to get to a place and then that's it. But every time you get someplace, there's another place to go. There's more learn. There's more evolution. So it's the constant evolving and learning and knowing that in each step I'm going through, Spirit is leading me through it. I know my sister says this, and I really love it. She says, God will not lead you to something He won't lead you through. I love it. And so I'm being led to and through so many things in my life. And so I'm confident when I share with people, if they're ready to go, Spirit won't leave you. Spirit is right there with you. If every step you take, Spirit's taking 10, 20, 100, you name it. It's always happening. And I can speak from a place of knowing, not believing, knowing. And that's a very different place to be. I love that.
Okay. Next to the last question, what do you see as the growing edge of your ministry?
Well, so what I'm starting to do now is things like this because I'm not a social media person. You know, I think people of a certain age, we didn't grow up with that, so I'm not the one. I don't jump on Facebook a lot, or constantly taking selfies. It's not something I was raised with, or so I'm having to learn how to do that. But so doing a shows like this, um, starting to do a podcast. I love I love face to face things. So um, the affirmation that I have, that I say every day, is that I am a far-reaching, spiritually enlightened, life-transforming, prosperous spiritual leader, and that my spiritual home is ever widening and growing. And I don't need to know, like I don't need to see it as four walls. It's not just Harmony Spiritual Center four walls. It's wherever my voice and my spirit can reach. And so that's what it is for me. I'm looking at things. I'm teaching classes at the community college, which I just was doing it for fun, but the classes are growing because the class doesn't end up being about what I say the class is about, what I'm thinking the class is going to be about. It ends up being about this, sitting here talking with people, and they're sharing things that are going on in their lives, things that have held them back, things that they want to move forward with, and they love coming there, hearing this positive message, talking about how they can do great things. Oh, it just goes on and on. So that is the growing edge of my ministry, is that it's not contained in four walls like I originally thought it was harmony. It is harmony plus. It's harmony plus.
Oh, I'm so glad you gave that answer because my last question is, will you come again?
Absolutely. Of course. Of course. Thank you so much for having me. And hopefully I have something new to say. I'm sure I will, because there's just
I'm
always
pretty
something
sure
going
you
on all the time. All the time. So thank you
will.
so much, Sherry, for having me here.
Well, thank
I
you
loved
so
it.
much for being here.
Absolutely.
And everyone else, I hope that you will join me again next week when Michelle Wadley, Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadley, will be here to talk about the Planned Happiness Initiative. Does that sound fabulous or what? So don't miss it. As they used to say when I was much, much younger in the previous century, be there or be square. Bye-bye.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing